Welcome back to another reading and correcting of a Wasteful Death with me, Kindar, the Tigerites, and Ty, the Tiger Supervisor. If you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch. And today we are doing Chapter 13. Really? Oh, sure, I'd put that. I don't get how you can waste your time with that show. Marlot got out of the car and waited for Trembor to do the same. You put 8 predators on an island with eight prey, and you know what exactly what's going to happen. Trevor looked at him over the car. That's where you're wrong. The goal is for them to survive without predation. Otto shook his head and headed towards the dark gray building that housed their office. Look, predators are predators and prey's prey. He got his pad and called up the log's history. There's a reason the system works. Elahan was already in. One hunts the other. Morning, Elahan. Trembor greeted the elephant seated behind the desk. You're looking especially good today. Thank you, sir. She smiled and her large ears fluttered and gained a slight pinkish hue. The MPB wants someone to call them as soon as you have the chance. Transfer the call information to the buffer. Also, Miss Ironhorn called again. She wants another update on her mate. Thanks, Marlot said, standing behind Trembor. He stopped by her desk and looked at her, canted his head to the side. Are you going out for dinner with that male again? The pink on her ears spread to her face and her trunk fidgeted with a data slate. Yes, sir. It's our third date. And he's still treating you well? Remember, if he doesn't, just pad me and I'll deal with him. Thank you, but you don't have to do that. She took hold of our trunk, trying to keep it still. Charlotte opened his mouth to comment, but was pulled away by Trembor. Why don't you let her work? Lion said, at the look of indignation he received. She doesn't need you acting like her brother. Fine, fine. Poked his head back in the reception. Just remember, I'm only a pat call away if you need it. He made a choking sound when Trembor pulled him by the collar. He glared at the lion, loosening his shirt collar, and then put his jacket on the stand, adjusting Trembor haphazardly thrown one. Should give the show a chance, Trevor said, sitting down and powering up his computer. There's plenty of vegetation on the island, so there's no need for them to hunt prey, and there's fish. Albert shook his head, taking his own seat. Vegetation's fine for prey. And fish? Really? You'd eat fish? Those things wriggle in the water, and there's no telling what they eat. Considering what we dump in the water, I wouldn't even touch a fish, let alone eat one. He looked at the lion across the desk. Please tell me you're not turning equalist on me. Of course not. Trembor coughed. I'm a predator, and I'll always be one. I just think it's interesting when they do experiments like that. Just tell me this. How long until the first prey got eaten? Trembor didn't answer immediately, and when he did, it was grudgingly. 3 days. Ha! There you go. You have your answer right there. Go eat grass, Trembor said and chuckled. Instead of rising to the bait, Marlot sent a message to Jaxka, checking if he could bring Talima to see the unborn cub. He'd planned on doing that the previous day, but he'd been distracted by questioning the suspect. After that, he listened to the message from the Missing Person Bureau. They needed his help to identify a body, so he called them back. They wanted access to one of the bodies, a bighorn sheep that had been in his freezers for a few months. It had been found in the river shore, on the river shore without ID and major claw damage. Without, uh, without, okay, without an ID and suffering major claw damage. DNA checks hadn't brought anything up, so Marlowe didn't have high hopes of locating that killer. The MPB had their own case of a missing bighorn sheep, and they wanted to compare what they had to his body. He agreed to meet their agent at his freezer and arranged for it to be in the late afternoon, which was the earliest the agent could be there. In the middle of the call, Jaxcar replied to his message, saying it would be fine. He also reminded Marlot that there wouldn't be much to see since the embryo was only 2 months old. Sent Talima a message indicating they could go tonight. During this exchange, he heard Trembor talking with Miss Ironhorn, sounding exasperated as he explained again that they couldn't release the body until they were done with the investigation. From the expression on his face, she didn't like the answer, even if it was the same one they gave each time she called. Trembor hung up with a growl and stood. Didn't sound good, Marlot said. She doesn't want to listen to reason. She wants us to close the investigation so she can get survivor's benefits. I'm going to go impress on her that we can't close the case until we catch his killer. There are plenty of organizations that can help her in the meantime. It isn't my fault she's terrified of strangers. He put his jacket on. How are you getting there? I'll drive. Wait, we took your car this morning, he sighed. Can you drop me off there? I heard you're heading to the freezer. That's later, but I'll drive you anyway. I wouldn't want to subject random on buses on the bus to your current mood. Jacket on. But what's her hurry? I know I explained to her she'd get the benefits in 3 months. Well, less than that now, whether we've closed the case or not. She said she's running low. She's running out of money. Okay, even for a cow, she's skittish. All she has to do is reopen their store. She has to have family members who can provide security for her. That's part of what I'll be talking to her about, her growled. I hope the drive calms you. Right now, I'm worried your idea of impressing on her might include eating her. Don't worry. I almost never eat someone out of annoyance. That's good. It's bad form to eat relatives of one of our bodies. When I get back, I'll go through the rest of her contacts, see if one of them is aware of the trouble she might be in. They spent the short drive in silence. By his expression, Marlot could tell Trembor was still annoyed at the cow, and he left him to his thoughts. Once back at the office, he sent the names of Aiden's lover to the enforcers. One of them might have links to organized crime that would justify killing her. He was reaching and he knew it. But like his academy instructor at once said, never know what the tastiest part of the meal is going to be. Might be in that little bit you didn't eat because you decided it didn't look appetizing. Which made him realize there was one avenue of inquiry he hadn't considered. Aiden's family. Family wasn't usually needed. Most killers could be quickly tracked down. Hunters who suddenly realized they couldn't afford to pay the body's tax didn't spend much time covering their tracks. But those who did sometimes had a personal connection to the dead, which was why he and Trembor had started with their lovers. With that avenue not producing any results, our family might be able to shed some light on new suspects. And this concludes chapter 13 of A Wasteful Death. If you are enjoying this, please leave a like. If you want to know when the next chapter is going to be up, subscribe and hit the bell. If you want to read the book as well as the others in the series, they are available on all major e-retailers. And if you want to support me, that's on my Patreon, where you can also get access to just about everything I've written. If you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch. The links are in the notes. I shall wish you a good day.